Level 1, El Halcon. They call you a hawk, not because you're dangerous, because you watch. You're 13. You live in a concrete block house outside Guadalajara where the roads turn to dirt and nobody fixes the streetlights. A guy from the neighborhood, maybe 19, maybe 20, handed you a cheap burner phone and told you where to stand. He didn't explain much. He didn't need to. You've seen hawks on every corner since you were old enough to walk. Now it's your turn. Your job is surveillance. You watch every car that rolls through. You memorize faces. When you see a military convoy or a police cruiser that doesn't belong, you send a text. One word. Sometimes just a number. That text buys the guys down the block enough time to scatter, to hide product, to disappear through doors cut into walls that look solid from the outside. You don't know what's behind those doors. You just know you're the reason they stay open. You make 3,000 pesos a week. Your mother makes less than that in a month ironing clothes for a family across the city. She knows something's wrong. You come home with new sneakers and you can't explain them. She cries at night, but the lights stay on now. Your little sister eats 3 meals a day instead of 2. That math is the only math you care about. One afternoon, a blacked out truck crawls past your corner. Tinted windows, no plates, your fingers go cold. You type the message, send. 20 seconds later, the street is empty like nobody was ever there. The truck keeps rolling. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it wasn't. Doesn't matter. You did your job. And in El Mencho's operation, doing your job is the only thing keeping you alive. Level 2. El Mula. You're 15 and you carry things you're not allowed to open. A package wrapped in black tape wedged between textbooks in your backpack. You don't go to school anymore, but the backpack makes you look like you do. That's the point. A kid with a backpack is invisible. Soldiers at the checkpoint wave you through. They're looking for men in trucks, not teenagers on foot. The CJNG moves methamphetamine and fentanyl in quantities that would stun you if you understood the numbers. But at your level, you don't see the big picture. You see one package, one route, one drop point. A tire shop on the south side. You hand the bag to a man behind a counter. He doesn't look at you. He counts bills from a drawer, peels off your cut, and turns his back. Transaction over. You've made 9 runs. Each time you walk a little faster, breathe a little easier. The fear is still there, but it sits lower now, somewhere in your stomach instead of your throat. Your cousin got grabbed doing the same thing last year. Juvenile detention. He told you to quit. You told him you would. You haven't. Because this money changed everything. Your family moved to a better street. Your mother doesn't take the bus at 4 a.m. anymore. You feel like somebody. And in a world where nobody from your neighborhood becomes somebody, that feeling is worth more than the risk. Walking home, you spot 2 men sitting in a parked car, watching the tire shop a little too carefully. Wrong energy. You send the text. The reply comes fast. A single check mark. You just earned something money can't buy. Trust. Level 3. El Sicario. You're 17 and they took you to a ranch in the Jalisco Highlands. 3 months in a camp surrounded by mountains and armed guards. No phone, no contact with anyone outside. They woke you at 4 a.m. for runs through mud and rocks. They taught you how to strip and reassemble weapons blindfolded. They taught you hand-to-hand combat. They taught you how to set up roadblocks and how to burn vehicles to stop convoys. The instructors were former military, some Mexican, some from other countries. When a recruit couldn't keep up, he disappeared overnight. Nobody asked where he went. You learned not to ask questions early. By the end, they called you part of the Grupo Elite. El Mencho's Special Forces. The tip of the spear. Your first assignment was a man in Guanajuato. They gave you a photo, a location, and a window. Nothing else. No reason, no backstory. You rode up on a motorcycle, helmet covering your face. He was walking out of a corner store, 2 rounds. You were gone before anyone screamed. Your hands were shaking so hard you almost dropped the weapon. The second time, your hands were steady. By the fourth, you felt nothing. That absence of feeling is what made you valuable. You don't decide who dies. You execute decisions made by people you'll never meet. The gun gets melted down after every job. You get paid enough to send your family more money than they know what to do with. You told your mother you work construction in Puerto Vallarta. She stopped asking follow-up questions a long time ago. A new photo arrives on your phone. Younger guy. The message says he's been feeding information to the DEA. You stare at his face. He looks like someone you might have trained with. Doesn't matter. In El Mencho's world, talking gets you a photo on someone else's phone. You start planning the route. Level 4, El Jefe de Plaza. You run a section of a city, not the whole thing, just your zone. But within those blocks, your word is law. 30 people work under you. Hawks on the corners, mules running product, sicarios on standby. You collect the earnings every week. You pay the local police commander his envelope, the price of looking the other direction. You settle disputes before they escalate to the people above you, because problems that reach the top come back down as consequences you don't want. A store owner can't pay his protection fee. 3 weeks late. The protocol says make an example. But you know this guy. His wife is sick. He's always paid before. You could torch his shop and send the message, or you could extend 2 weeks, add interest, and keep a paying customer alive. You make the call. Mercy with conditions. That's how you hold a plaza. Fear balanced against function. Too brutal and the neighborhood revolts. Too lenient and the next plaza boss over starts testing your borders. And they do test you. A crew from a rival faction starts selling on your south side without permission. No tribute, no arrangement, just moving product on your ground like you don't exist. You load into an armored truck with 2 armed men. Time to have a conversation nobody forgets. Because in El Mencho's franchise system, a plaza boss who can't hold territory gets replaced, and replacement doesn't come with a severance package. Level 5, El Operador Financiero. You don't touch drugs anymore. You touch money. Millions flowing through construction companies, car dealerships, real estate developments, restaurant chains. Your job is to take dirty money and make it look like legitimate revenue. And you're exceptional at it. Los Queenies, the financial arm of the CJNG run by El Mencho's in-laws, set. The blueprint. You follow it. Shell companies in 3 countries. Accountants who know when to stop asking questions. Lawyers who file paperwork that tells a story completely disconnected from reality. Your office has glass walls and city views. You wear tailored suits. You meet with bankers who shake your hand and smile because your companies bring in deposits that keep their quarterly numbers healthy. Nobody at the bank wants to look too closely. That's by design. The DEA is investigating one of your subsidiaries. You found out through a contact inside the prosecutor's office, 200,000 pesos a month, but he's worth every centavo. You move fast, dissolve the entity, redistribute the assets across new companies with clean registration. By the time the warrant arrives, the trail is cold. You brief El Mencho's people over dinner at a restaurant you technically own. They nod. That nod means you're still useful. Useful means alive. But you know too much. If you ever stop being valuable, you become a loose end. So at night, when nobody's watching, you move money into accounts they don't know about. Passports under names they've never seen. A way out. But not yet. You're too deep and too good at what you do to leave now. Level 6, El Jefe Regional. You oversee an entire state, maybe 2. Dozens of plaza bosses report to you. You manage production labs, distribution corridors, seaports for importing chemical precursors from China. This isn't street-level crime anymore. This is industrial-scale logistics. You coordinate shipments measured in tons across borders that exist on maps but not in practice. Your organization generates more monthly revenue than some national economies. A shipment gets seized at the coast. 4 tons of methamphetamine. $50 million gone. You need to know how. Bad luck doesn't lose you that much product. Somebody talked or somebody got sloppy. You call a meeting. The plaza bosses from that corridor sit across from you, and one of them won't meet your eyes. You don't accuse him. You don't need to. You explain calmly that someone failed. That failure has a cost. 48 hours later, the message has been delivered in a way that nobody in your territory will misunderstand. Your phone buzzes. Someone from the inner circle wants a face-to-face. Your stomach tightens. At this altitude, meetings are either promotions or executions. There's rarely anything in between. You dress carefully. You choose every word before you speak it. One wrong sentence and the fall from this height is fatal. Level 7, El Lugarteniente. You sit at the table where strategy is decided. Not at the head. That chair belongs to El Mencho, but close enough to matter. You command entire regions. You negotiate with rival organizations. The Mexican military knows your face. The DEA has your photo pinned to a board in their briefing room. 2 countries have bounties on your head. You haven't walked on a public street in years. Your security detail is 12 former soldiers. You live inside a compound with high walls and armed guards at every entrance. Everything you need is inside, but you can never leave. That's the exchange. Total power for zero freedom. A rival cartel has been pushing into your corridors, killing your people, taking your networks. This is war now, and the table needs a decision. One lieutenant wants immediate retaliation. Strike hard, strike fast. Another wants to negotiate, split territories, stop the bleeding. You stay quiet. You listen. You watch El Mencho at the head of the table. He hasn't spoken. The room waits. Then his eyes land on you. What do you think? Everything rides on what you say next. Not just the answer, but how you read the room. how you read him. You take your time, because at this level, the wrong word at the wrong moment doesn't just end your career, it ends you. Level 8, El Patron. You built this. From avocado fields in Michoacan to the most powerful criminal organization Mexico has ever seen. You were a migrant worker in California. You did time in an American prison. You came back to Mexico and worked as a hitman for a cartel that doesn't exist anymore. When that cartel collapsed, you didn't run. You picked up the pieces and built something new. You called it the Jalisco New Generation. And then you made the whole world learn the name. Your operation moved more fentanyl, methamphetamine, and cocaine than any cartel on earth. You operate in over 20 Mexican states and dozens of countries. Politicians, generals, and judges answer to you. The US government put $15 million on your head. Your face hasn't been photographed in a decade. Some people aren't even sure you're still alive. That's by design. Myths are harder to destroy than men. You watch the news, another raid, another press conference, 15 arrests, half a ton seized, the reporter celebrates, the politicians take credit, you don't flinch. Those 15 people are replaceable by morning. That product is a fraction of a percent of this week's movement. They're chasing shadows. But late at night, when the compound goes quiet, you think about the ones who came before you. Escobar, El Chapo, El Mayo. Every single one ended the same way. Dead or in a cage. None of them made it out. You tell yourself you're different, smarter, more careful. You've got money hidden across 5 countries. Exit plans with names nobody knows. But deep down, you know you're not leaving. This is who you are. You remember being a hawk once. A kid on a corner with a cheap phone. Watching. Waiting. Look at you now. You run everything. You control everyone. You're untouchable until you're not. This is the Jalisco New Generation Cartel.